struggle is not just a cry for justice. It's a blistering battle for the most fundamental human rights that every living soul on this planet should inherit by birthright. It's an unyielding resistance against the oppressive, suffocating grip of occupation and the callous denial of the most basic human dignity. Just as the civil rights movement in the United States fought against the chains of racial discrimination, so too do the Palestinian people strive to shatter the chains of occupation and tyranny. Never forget, my friends, that the Palestinians, much like African Americans in the United States, have been subjected to a heart-wrenching history of suffering and torment. The birth of Israel in 1948 brought forth the mass expulsion and dispossession of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their ancestral homes and land. This is a historic injustice that continues to haunt the lives of Palestinians to this very day. The situation in Palestine serves as a brutal reminder of the consequences of colonialism and the ruthless dispossession of indigenous peoples. It is an agonizing reminder that the fight for justice knows no borders, and we must stand united in solidarity with all oppressed peoples, whether they reside in the United States, South Africa, or anywhere around the world. Let's be unequivocally clear. Advocating for the rights of the Palestinian people is not synonymous with denying the rights and security of the Jewish people. The fight for justice in Palestine is not an assault on any particular group, but an unwavering stand against the policies of a Zionist state that has for far too long stripped Palestinians of their rights. We must remember that numerous Jewish voices also resound in the calls for justice and peace in Palestine, and their voices must not be silenced. In our relentless pursuit of justice for the Palestinian people, we must also acknowledge that it is in the best interest of the entire world to seek a just and enduring solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is a pursuit in the name of peace, stability, and the dignity of all mankind. But let me underscore this. The battle for justice in Palestine is not merely a political struggle, it's an elemental moral battle. It's the fight for the most basic human rights of a people who have suffered these injustices for far too long. It's the fight for the right to exist in peace and security, free from the ceaseless specter of violence and dispossession. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. I implore every person of conscience, regardless of their origins or beliefs, to stand steadfast with the Palestinian people in their unwavering quest for justice by any means necessary. Let us unite in building a world where every soul can live in freedom and dignity, where the rights of every individual are not just respected, but celebrated. The struggle for justice in Palestine is a universal fight, a resonating echo of the battles waged by oppressed people across the globe. It's a battle we must champion, a torch we must carry, and a legacy we must honor. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Yes, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another installment of Unity and Solidarity TV. Today is Monday, April 15th, 2024. My name is Bakari Makaru, and I have the pleasure to be your host. Today's program is streamed live on the following platforms: our YouTube channel at Unity and Solidarity TV, Facebook. So you have www.facebook.com/Bakari.Makeru, and of course on our other Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/UNIAACL St. Martin chapter, and you can find the live stream there. And remember, if you appreciate and value the content, the discussions that we bring forward, please do us a huge favor, like and share to our Facebook pages and YouTube channel, of course. And remember, if you ever want to be a guest to share some information or present an issue close to your heart, please feel free to send me an email or a message via Facebook or Gmail, which is at Unity and Solidarity TV at gmail.com. And if I remember, because sometimes the conversation gets really, really good, but I'll do my best to post the link for those of you who would like to join the discussion. Maybe you have a question, maybe you would like to make a comment. So I will do my utmost to remember to post the link in the chat so you can join us. Just a few announcements. April 7th, 2024 marked the 30th anniversary of the 1994 Rwanda genocide against the Tutsis and moderate Hutu people who were massacred. And today marks 1 year since a conflict in Sudan erupted between the government of Sudan and the Rapid Support Forces. And last but not least, there will be a peaceful protest on Saturday, April 20th, 2024, against the potential sale of the Bobatui land on the northern side of the island. The march starts at 10 a.m. from the Cadisco to the Old House via French Quarter Road. Now, family, sorry, this is the last announcement. On behalf of the Unity and Solidarity family, Garveyites at home and abroad, we'd also like to extend heartfelt congratulations to His Excellency Bissaru Diomaye Faye, who was recently sworn in as a president of Senegal. May our illustrious and venerable ancestors and elders continue to inspire you as your government seeks to unleash Senegal's economic potential. Family, tonight I am joined by once again by Ms. Humera Alam, member of the St. Martin Unity with Palestine group. Most of you would recall our very dynamic and engaging conversation in November 2023, which centered primarily around the decision of the now outgoing Minister of Justice to prohibit a peaceful assembly to express solidarity with the suffering of the Palestinian people. And of course, we also discussed a number of related issues. Since then, a number of critical developments have transpired regarding the plight of our brothers and sisters in Palestine. So you can imagine my excitement and eagerness to have this discussion this evening. And with that being said, I would like to welcome you, Ms. Humera Alam, and thank you once again for joining us here on Unity and Solidarity TV. Welcome.
Thank you, Bakari. Thank you so much for having me again. It's such an honor to be here again. I will really try my best to say everything that I have on my list. I feel already very overwhelmed because I feel like there's so many important things to mention, and I'm so afraid that I leave something out. But it's very helpful, and I'm just very grateful for this platform, for you giving us a voice, and for me coming here on the show again. So thank you very much. Thanks.
Well, to be honest, I really hope that you forget a few topics, because that will give us the opportunity to schedule another meeting. So have no fear with that's concerned, because this is an issue, as we have agreed on, and as we know, it's a very important issue, especially when we consider a number of interesting events that took place since our last meeting, as I said earlier, right?
Yeah.
Before we begin,
Yeah.
so we played a clip from Malcolm X on the
Yeah.
question of Palestine, right? And I really, really have to say and have to thank you for introducing me to this clip. I love it. I have read a number of speeches by the Honorable Malcolm X. I have listened to a number of his speeches. And to me, that particular clip that we heard, to me, I put it on the same level of intensity and passion as his speech on the ballot or the bullet. You know, in that particular speech, Malcolm makes it plain, you know, that even the guy or the lady who was at the bus stop or in the corporate office, they can understand not only the main issues, but they can understand their responsibility to the particular struggle. You know, I think
Yeah.
he informs, I think he inspires, and I think he does a great job to mobilize, you know, persons' interest to dig deeper into the issues that are unfolding in Palestine right now, you know. So I really have to give thanks to you for introducing me to that clip. As they say, you live every day, you learn every day. So I
Yeah,
am
well,
definitely thankful.
for me, it was thanks for that. For me, it was actually also a clip that was new. I'm not very familiar with Malcolm X with all of his speeches, but I know he's a very inspiring person, and he's very important to our communities. And I find I kind of teared up just now because there's nothing too extra what he mentioned, and it's actually I'm grateful for my friend in Holland who sent this message to me, this particular video, and I was like, okay, you know what? I cannot say it that way. I mean, he needs to speak. I mean, he can speak for himself. And after that, mic drop. We don't need to talk about anything anymore. He already covered everything about.
Yeah.
Also, what I find very what kind of stood out for me, and that's what the reason is why I wanted to share it, is because of course it's a very inspiring person, and a lot of people see him as a hero. But I think he kind of also nails down the bottom line issue, which is there's a lot of polarization going on. There's like two camps. You're either pro-Palestine or you're pro-Israel, and there's like nothing in between. And I think that what he makes clear is that there is another voice, especially the Jewish voice, that says, if you actually feel, you have a moral obligation to know right from wrong, what's happening to Palestine is wrong. You don't need to be Palestinian. You don't need to be Muslim even. You just need to be human to understand that this is wrong without telling anybody else. You don't have the right to exist, because that's what usually is what you get. Oh, so you don't want Israel to exist? That's not what I'm saying. I just want this madness to stop.
And I like that because, as you correctly pointed out, persons look at this discussion as an either or.
Yeah.
All right. And sometimes that is dangerous. It's like saying, for example, we would have heard in the past many world leaders saying that Israel have a right to defend itself. But in the practice, in the reality, that statement seems to be used as justification to extend and intensify its military campaign.
Yeah.
You know? So and it always, I can't say that I'm surprised, but I don't know what other word to use, because they would always tell you that we don't involve ourselves in the internal matters of sovereign states, sovereign countries, right? But that only applies to Israel. It
Yeah.
doesn't apply to the other nations around the world. So this particular conflict is really showcasing the blatant hypocrisy
Yeah.
of the West.
Okay, so
It
I don't need
really.
to add anything. You just made it all clear. There's no more points on my list now.
No, we're
No,
not doing that.
I think you're making an important point. It's the double standard and I think
Yes,
a lot of people are seeing that now. But just to go back a little bit, because there are a
sure.
few things that I would like to say also at first before we begin. Of course, I
Let's go.
already mentioned Bakari. Thank you very much for your platform, and I don't want to stretch this too much, but I do
Sure.
want to express that I am. I'm talking from my own position. I'm. We are a very small group of people that would like to discuss this issue of Palestine wider on the island. Hence, going for a march, and which was denied eventually. We'll get into the details of that later. But there are, I'm sure, better speaking, native English speaking people on this island that could probably do a much better job than me. So if you are watching this and you think, you know what, I know a lot more about Palestine, and I'm a lot more vocal, or I can talk a lot better than you, please come on the show, because I kind of feel alone in this struggle for Palestine. I'm not even Palestinian, and I feel like it's not necessarily my position. Like I said in the show, the first show when I came on, I'm just a mother. I'm a mother of two. I'm a school teacher. I'm not teaching at the moment. This is something that just happened to come on my path, and everything in my bones, in my core, is screaming so loud that I feel like instead of only being sad about it, I want to be vocal about it. I want to be productive about it and inform people about it. But it's not necessarily that I know a lot about what's going on. My knowledge is limited in that sense, but I just wanted to express that. That being said, if you want to know what the current situation at the moment is for our March, so I would
Yes.
like to, you're getting the premiere here.
There you
For
go.
the 12th of March, we're going to try again. Oh, sorry, March 12th, the 12th of May, we're going to try
Okay.
again for a March. So I'm going to drop that one on my Facebook page. I made a special Facebook page, especially for SXM in solidarity with Palestine. So if you haven't liked that page, please do so. Follow this page, because this is the page that I will share all my information. I haven't made a Facebook page before, but my husband was saying, Humera, everybody has to go back to this event page, and then nobody knows exactly what the current state is. And the current state is this. We were banned. We're still banned. There has been a second attempt by the Islamic Center with a very vague ministerial decree where I don't want to go into. And we're going to try for, if you want, a third attempt on the 12th of May, which is after Carnival, for a reason that I don't want the government to have any reason to ban us again. And we will have enough time for people to arrange themselves. So Sunday, the 12th of May, will be another attempt, and we will keep on making these attempts until we are able to march the public street.
I love that. I love that. And the Islamic Center, that's that organization is on St. Martin, correct?
Yes, it's a religious
Okay.
institute. It's basically a mosque.
Okay.
Yeah, it's where people pray.
Yes. I would have loved to hear their perspective, on this entire situation. Maybe that's an opportunity to reach out, to them. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So we are looking at May 12th, right?
Yes, May 12th. Be there.
Okay.
Be there. It's probably just going to be on the boardwalk, because the police is giving all these excuses to make space on the bigger road, on Nisbet Road, and we kind of wanted to go ahead for the police not to have anybody telling us that we are not cooperative. So we try
Yes.
to listen as much as possible, but we just feel that the government is not really fully on our case, and that's why there are coming these left and right excuses to do it that time or do it this road. And I just feel if we just stay on the boardwalk, it's probably not going to be as many people, and the boardwalk is usually also very full with other functions without having to take part of the bigger roads to have a lot of traffic hazard. Traffic at the moment is horrible on the islands anyway, and I
That's
don't want
correct.
to add up to that
Okay.
that issue. Yeah.
And just for the sake of clarity, May
Mm-hmm.
12th is on a Sunday, correct?
Yeah, it's on a Sunday. Yeah.
It's on a Sunday. You have
Yeah.
a particular time in mind, or you haven't
Yes,
pinned
it's
that down
probably
as
going
yet?
to be around sunset, so 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, gathering. And it's only going to be like 1 or 2, maximum of 2 hours. So the details will be
Okay.
coming soon, but that's going to be, it was the first setup. And then we started talking with the authorities, to give everybody a feel that, we're going to get a green light if we be cooperative. But the only thing we're getting is more and more lists of pros and cons, and this can happen and that shouldn't happen. And Bukhari, the first time we spoke was 5 months ago.
That's
5 months
correct.
ago, I was cleaning up this desk, and this is what I found. I don't know if you can see it.
It's blurry. Ceasefire. Yeah,
Yeah, and
ceasefire.
I made it with my daughter. I made it with my daughter when this whole genocide on Palestine started. And I thought, you know what? Let me do something creative with my daughter. She's 6 years old. And I'm seeing this now, and it just shatters me when I see it. That there's so much killing going on since we last spoke. And there's
Yes.
nothing. nothing in my mind could have ever thought that we would be having this conversation today, 6 months later into the genocide. And while we are talking, people are still being killed.
Yep.
Sorry, I promised myself that I'm not going to be emotional about this.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
But, it's 33,000 people who are dead we're talking about. 13,000 are children, really children. 70% of all of these people that have died so far are women and children. And
Yes.
while I'm saying that, it almost feels like I'm trying to make the man look guilty. But I think even if you feel somebody did something, there is, a justice system to put people to trial. You don't start killing people. It's just unbelievable what's going on. The amount of injuries, children's limbs being amputated, mothers who wake up without children anymore. There is so much suffering going on, and most people I know, they look away. They look away
Mm.
because they say, Humera, I cannot look at it. It just makes me really down. It just feels like I cannot do anything, and it's better to not look. But to those people, I would like to say, be their witness. Otherwise they really died for nothing. I know that you don't want to watch it all day because I when I started looking, I went into this black hole for a couple of days. I don't want you to go through that, but at least bear witness. Know what is going on. When there was a Holocaust going on with the Jewish population starting in 1939, a lot of people 5 years later, when the war finally ended, they said, we haben das nie gewusst. We didn't know that this was going on. But this is
Mm.
going on in real life. People are showing real life footages, live video streams. This is going on right now. People are running from one place to another. Nowhere is safe. And everything I'm saying, it feels like I've heard this already a million times. These are not even my words anymore. This is people
Mm.
telling us this over and over again. Children begging us, like, what did we do wrong? And
Mhm.
besides the horrific injuries, there's a lot of people still under the rubble. There are 50,000 women in Gaza who don't have a safe place to give birth. Being a mom myself, my son is just 1 year old. I cannot imagine what these women are going through. 64,000 women are not able to breastfeed their kids. I was just talking to you just before we started the show that I
Yes.
needed to just quickly step out of the door to breastfeed my son. I'm still breastfeeding my son. Imagine I couldn't do that. Like,
Yes.
I cannot get my head around this. And the only reason why this is happening is because there is a forced starvation, a man made starvation. There are lines of aid that are not being let go. And, we get all sorts of information like, yes, Israel is letting in aid. And that's not true. And before you know it, there is this other side of the story, which is completely false, like completely.
Correct.
And I cannot imagine that, like, 10 minutes away, there are trucks full of food and people are starving to death. And, Ramadan just ended.
Correct.
And, I'm breastfeeding my son. So I wasn't fasting, but I fast when it's time. I fast. And it's only one day of not drinking, from when the sun is up until the sun sets. And it's already quite difficult. You get thirsty, but a hunger death
Mm-hmm.
is a very painful death. Apparently, your body starts consuming itself. It's
Itself,
a
yes.
horrific way of dying. How can we allow this to happen? I promise to talk slow and have some pauses here and there, but it infuriates me. It's like, how can we have this going on right now? Why is this happening? How can we allow this? How can we look away? I feel like I'm on fire. And when Aaron Bushnell, set himself on fire, it kind of, I kind of felt like that could have been me. Like, I'm not brave enough to do it, and I have 2 kids that I don't want to leave behind. But that's how I sometimes feel. I feel like my soul is on fire. Like,
Yes.
how is it possible that we can live this perfect life on this perfect island, while on the other side of the world people are dying and they are deliberately being killed? Deliberately. This is not happening like some other war that's complicated and there's more sides to a story. No, these people are, exterminated
Right before our eyes. Right before our eyes. And what I'm also seeing is that while the West, again, may want us to believe it's about self-defense, what we are seeing when we consider some of the numbers in terms of arms sales to Israel is that it's really a money-making racket. You have some countries like Germany and others whose exports to Israel, right, has increased tremendously since the okay, I have someone here wants to join. Let's see what Shushu has to say. Would that be okay, Humera?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. There's still
Okay.
a lot on my list, but
I
sure.
know. No, no. I know. I just greeting, Shushu.
I don't want to be on camera. Hi, how are you guys?
Hi.
Greetings.
I just was able to join you guys, so I'm not sure what the conversation was allowed. What was the
Okay.
conversation about?
Well, we are talking about the ongoing genocide in Palestine and why it matters with Saint Martin.
Of course, it matters because as a Palestinian that was born and raised in Jerusalem for 13 years and then moved to St. Martin as a kid. Basically, I grew up in St. Martin. So I'm both. I lived in both worlds. So basically, it is important for our community here in St. Martin to know what's going on in Jerusalem and in Palestine in general. In Gaza, what's going in Gaza is been going for 75 years. It did not start it now. People just start to notice that, oh, October 7th, Hamas attacked Palestine, Hamas attacked Israel, and they entered and they broke the wall and all of that. But the truth is, this has been going for 75 years. We've been basically uprooted from our homeland. Yet I could never even enter or visit Gaza.
Yeah.
I was in Jerusalem last summer. I spent the whole month of July in Jerusalem, and I was not allowed to enter certain cities. Cities that was occupied in 1948. One of them was actually my ancestor town, village. I cannot just go and visit and say, oh, that house belongs to my grandparents or to my great grandparents. So let alone to enter to Gaza. I cannot even walk or travel even with my Dutch passport. They will not allow me to enter Gaza.
Really?
Really?
Based on what then?
Because
Just simply
Gaza
based
is
on your
under
identity?
siege. Gaza is under siege for the past 20 years. And that's what most people don't know.
I actually didn't realize that either. So this is
For the
another.
past 20 years, Gaza is isolated. If you need to travel for medical,
It's
you
true.
need documents.
Yeah.
And sometimes they allow you, sometimes they do not allow you. If you need to travel for education, you cannot. Yeah, there is no movement. There is no movement. There is no freedom of movement.
How does it make you feel?
Terrible. sad. And the fact that the world is like closing their eyes, like they're turning their face, they are closing their eyes, like we have selective humanity. It's only applied for certain people. If you're white with blue eyes and you're Christian or Jewish, it's okay. But if you're an Arab, you're Muslim, you're black, you do not belong. They're gonna close their eyes. It's okay. It's okay. It makes them uncomfortable. This whole conversation right now, it's making people uncomfortable.
Yeah. I know, I heard that many times as well, like, oh, you're not going to change anything with this march, and why should you go on the radio? Nobody cares about this anyway. It's very sad, but I think, at the same time, I'm also hopeful by that, because of social media, a lot of people can now use their camera and their voice to have this conversation. And you cannot, if you now look away, then it's really a choice. Before, it wasn't, maybe not really a choice because you didn't know. So how could you have known? But if you know now, and it's like, no, sorry, it's too graphic to see these dead
Images, yep.
babies, their heads blown to pieces. I'm sorry, I cannot watch it. That this person is taking its last breath. I'm sorry, I cannot take it. I cannot take it either, but I can change the channel, and I will have a nice meal with my daughter an hour later from them. But these people are living the reality right now, and they didn't choose it either. You don't choose it. I don't choose it. They didn't choose that. And people just, I think it's they feel it's too complicated, and that's why I want to have this conversation. I want, by the end of this podcast, people to know that there are many ways that you can be vocal. You can say something, have a meaningful conversation even, or just sometimes inform yourself. Don't be lazy, because sometimes people are just being lazy. It's far away, it doesn't concern me. What does Palestine have to do with Sint Maarten? Even our Minister of Justice said that, and it saddens me. It just shows the complete lack of information, and information is there. And I find it also disrespectful towards people like you who are in our show, people from Palestine, but also the larger diaspora, who feel very connected to what's happening in Palestine for the last 75 years, as you mentioned. And, ignoring that and saying, shut up, just mind your own business, go along to get along kind of attitude. It doesn't serve any of us, because we are just living in our own bubbles. And it shouldn't be Sint Maarten. If that is Sint Maarten, it shouldn't be Sint Maarten.
Well said.
Well said.
Well said.
Exactly.
And Shushu, I'm curious to know, right, based on your engagement of persons in the community, I know you touched upon it, but if you can give some more explanation regarding your experiences when you would bring up the topic of Palestine right now. Could you share that with us, please?
I think right now we have awareness. People are more aware because of social media. I think social media helped a lot with the Palestinian cause. The news, if you listen, again, you have to listen to objective news. You cannot listen to CNN, because CNN is not going to word the word genocide. It's not going to use the word. They are.
It's fully in front of your eyes, and it's like, how can you make the aggressor so passive? It reminds me of the books, our history books about slavery in Holland.
Exactly.
They never would mention an active aggressor, which would be the Dutch government. And it just puzzles me, like the way they flip the words, change the frame, and there's, sorry, I didn't want to cut you there, but it's just
no, but it is. You're absolutely right, because I was looking at some a post on Instagram by this activist. His name is Khalid, and he said that New York Times actually instructed the writers and all their reporters not to use to be careful and not to use the word genocide, not to use the word murder, not to use certain words because they want to cover. Because if you say genocide, you're making people uncomfortable. You bring memories. You bring. Typically, you're going to say Holocaust. It's going to bring the Holocaust. And this is exactly what is happening right now. You basically starving people. You killing them. You're shelling them. Children are actually, parents are picking up their children limbs in bags.
Yeah.
So
that's where you sometimes are lucky. Sometimes people are not even found anymore. You know, they're even animals that are feeding on dead bodies on the street. It's so terrible, and it's only when you look at the images then you realize what's going on. And you know, you are talking, you put down the word genocide, just the geopolitics behind it. It's a genocide, right? I mean, there's collective punishment, there's ethnic cleansing, there is an apartheid regime, there is a genocide intent. If you look at all these official people who are in higher ranks, it's not just Joe from the block who is saying something in Tel Aviv. It's high placed officials that are saying these things. You know, we have a UN reporter, special reporter, Francesca Albanese, who has explained carefully in details what's going on. It's a genocide, you know, and still we are tiptoeing around that. People feel uncomfortable about this word. I'm like, people, wake up. And it's also this privilege. Maybe we have it in St. Marta too, but I think it's like worldwide. It's this privilege that we are so disattached of an unsafe environment. We feel so safe in our bubble that we don't identify with these people anymore. When you see, for example, this flour massacre that happened, where people were collecting bags of flour, and then they are killed just for standing there, right? Because people, the IOF soldiers, IDF soldiers, you want to call it how you want to call it, I call them IOF. They are there to, you know, they feel uncomfortable and start shooting people. And then you have these pile of dead young men on top of each other that are being carried away by a horse and carriage. And I'm thinking to myself, is there anybody who identifies with this image, who feels like, you know what, that could have been my brother, that could have been my son there? I think nobody. And that's why we are so disattached from this whole genocide in Palestine. It's only the people who have been to certain type of injustice who feel that could have been me. And the rest of us are just blind. It's just not happening, or we just turn the channel, or wars happen, casualties happen. They inflicted upon themselves when they started the 7th of October. You know, you hear this nonsense, you know, and people just go ahead with this.
But you know, why is that? Sorry, but you know, the reason for that, it's we are brainwashed. We are brainwashed by the idea of the colony, the master, colonization. That's the whole point of it. Everything that we've been brainwashed and fed for so long, for a very long time, that everything that these European countries, the United States of America, whatever they tell us, we need to believe it. We need to agree with it because they know better. They know better. We don't know. We just a bunch of third world countries that we are uneducated. We are just have to listen to what our masters are telling us. And that's exactly, I feel, some of our politicians on this island, it's like, okay, this is what's going to happen because I'm the politician, I'm the master, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm safe in my little bubble. I'm safe in my little bubble. This doesn't affect me. This doesn't affect my economy. This doesn't affect. So I'm okay. But if you think about it, it is affecting you because it's affecting the whole world. Globally, it's affecting all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's exactly that what you're saying. It's this colonial mindset. Of course, let's be honest, Israel is a colonial state. It's like a settler state. There is no doubt about it. There are many UN resolutions that they are ignoring. Yeah, they keep on ignoring them, and everybody's not giving them any sanction whatsoever. They are even getting more help with their warfare. But I want to quote an activist that I came across, and I thought this is just perfect. It's Asata Shakur.
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
and I
yes,
thought
yes.
it was, you're mentioning it, Shushu, about the colonial mindset. And I read this and I thought, what, let me use it for later. But you're making this point, and I just want to share it. She says nobody in this world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appalling to the moral sense of the people who were oppressing them. So what are we doing? We're asking the UN. We're usually mostly European countries, and then we have America there, and we have Israel there, and all of them, we're begging them to listen to us and to say, you know what, this is unfair. We have South Africa going to the International Court of Justice, make a case, basically win the case, because this is the ICJ ruling. And what happens? No ceasefire. We're just going to continue because it's not
Correct.
binding. Are you for real? Like, is this actually happening? And you should be very blind or just very evil to not see this, because this is happening in front of our eyes. We're doing it the official ways, even, not the terrorists who are blowing themselves up because they cannot deal with the injustice anymore. No, we go the official way, and what happens? No sanctions. Nothing happens. Everybody just continues. They're talking about a ground invasion where the rest of the Palestinians are hiding, in the south of Gaza, just to wipe it all clear.
Yep, yep, yep.
You know,
It's just,
just to complement what you said a while ago, Humera. There was also a very well-known activist scholar by the name of James Baldwin, right? And he also said that when the white man says, "Give me freedom or death," right? Everyone applauds. But from time a person of color says the exact same thing, automatically he's seen as a threat.
yeah,
Okay, he's automatically seen for saying the exact same thing. All right.
yeah,
When I were to consider the local context, especially for the political leaders who pretend as though what happens in Palestine have no impact here, we have to be very careful, for the simple fact that when the war between Russia and Ukraine started, the Netherlands imposed sanctions,
yeah,
and these islands had to toe that line.
yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? They had to comply
Thank
with
you.
those sanctions coming from The Hague. So
Thank you.
automatically you are forced to pick a
Yeah,
side. You
yeah,
are forced to pick a side in a
yeah,
war that you have no interest in, you have no influence over,
yeah.
right? And
Yep.
ignoring your demographic population
Exactly.
locally. You
Yeah,
see? So when
yeah.
they say
Yep.
that, when they behave as though what's happening over there doesn't impact us,
No, it's
I
not
am
true.
very worried, because we live in a global world.
Yeah.
We
And
live in
I'm
a
also worried.
extremely
I'm also worried because you then, as a government, who are you listening to?
correct.
If you are saying that this doesn't concern us, but then you're still listening to Holland, then at least also hold them accountable. Also hold Holland accountable. Otherwise, it's just the slave master relation
It
continuing.
continues.
It's
It continues.
continuing. And I, to be
Yes.
honest, I find it shameful. If a minister of justice can say, it's Palestine. What does it have to do with St. Martin? Because I'll tell you why it's shameful. I can let go of people that don't know anything about Palestine because they live their life here. What I find shameful is that you don't know your own history. Your own history. And I'll tell you this, the history I'm talking about is the slave history, where people were enslaved. Most of us here in the
Yes.
island have that background. And a year ago, I was watching this video today again. It was the Prime Minister of Holland, Mark Rutte, who was saying, apologies to all the colonies, or now ex-colonies, Curaçao, Sint Maarten, Saba, Astasia, all of them, Suriname, were all he was apologizing to for having a history where the Dutch government was responsible for exploiting people, for making money over their backs, doing horrendous things to people, right? And then you
Yep.
say sorry, and then you're complicit today by sending F-15s, even if you have Oxfam Novib winning the case, telling you cannot do this anymore, trying new ways of still getting the arms there into Israel. It's just continuing. And what does sorry mean to St. Martin if you're going to be complicit again? You're going to help out another colonizer again and making money again, exploiting people again. What does it say? And I'm going to answer this one myself. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. The sorry doesn't mean anything. You can give money, for rebuilding the colonies again, helping them out. Slavery was in the past, but we're going to help you move on. It doesn't mean anything because you're doing it all over again.
Yes.
And you
I
should
would like
hold
to.
the Dutch government accountable for that.
I would like to add to that, if I may, right?
Sure.
To
Yes,
give
please.
from a different perspective.
Sure.
During the COVID, during the global pandemic, when Holland attached conditions to the aid to assist with the COVID situation, right? Many in Parliament, many in the Council of Ministers would have chanted about the colonialism that is taking place, how they want to revert us back, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
I recall hearing statements appealing to CARICOM, appealing to the United Nations for assistance to against what Holland is doing. So my thing is this: when we were in a situation, we wanted the air and support of everyone. Okay. And we are not going through, and I mean, persons might get a bit uneasy about this, but we are not going through what the people of Palestine is going through. And we use every opportunity,
Yeah.
right, to have our case heard.
Yeah.
All right. We use everything. So that means you know what it's like to be oppressed.
Yeah.
So because you know what it's like to be oppressed,
Yeah.
it means that you ought not remain silent. You
Yeah.
ought not turn a blind eye when you see persons in a similar or worse situation. You must use your voice.
Yeah.
And to not use your voice is criminal.
And you should, just to add, and you should
Sure.
not stop others. So even
Correct.
if you on this island think, well, why a demonstration on St. Martin? I when I was talking to the Minister of Justice, she was saying, why not in a private space, like Carnival Village or Emilia Wilson, as if we are not worthy of marching the public road. I felt there was this symbolic notion to it that I thought was so unfair, that even if this is not your struggle, why should you silence us? And then of course everybody goes like, no, you have to go by any rules. We had all the rules there. We came up with all the lists of the code of conduct, how we want to do it, be peaceful, be respectful, and then still we are being banned. And I want everybody in St. Martin to know that if we are being silenced for a peaceful march, what does that leave you then? If you are going to be in one time in life against your government or calling out to any type of injustice, because this is what it is. If you don't speak out for injustice, let me go to this quote of Martin Luther King: injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
That's correct.
So even small or big, Palestine or even here, that we are not even allowed to have a peaceful march. These are some people. Okay, I live here for 8 years almost. Okay, that I am being banned because I'm not considered what. But there are people who were born here. Why can they not have a peaceful march? I really don't understand. And then there's all type of excuses which are unlawful. this is the thing. So I'm very grateful that we got help from a Dutch law firm called PIL, and together with another
Yes, tell us about that. Yes, tell us about it.
local lawyer, we are now going to present our case, in court. But that unfortunately, that court case can take a month. So that's why, I felt like I need to do something. Hence, the 12th of May. But halfway May, we will hear when this court case will come to court. So it's going to take probably another few weeks, if not months. And I felt like we cannot wait on that. I already feel so sad that we asked for permission in November. The Islamic Center did it once again in December. Now we are already in April, and still there is no march, and nobody, is helping out. And I feel like is it really going to come down to us to fight this? But I'm willing to go ahead and do it. I feel like this is unjust, and I also studied law back in the days. So I just feel like this is just lack of, it's a lack of vision. Because as a minister, if you ban people from speaking their truth peacefully, what type of, environment are you creating? And then people are saying, yeah, but people are afraid and there hasn't been any demonstrations. Let this be then one of them that is going to set an example for others to show that they are not happy with how things are going. Now people are just trying an attempt, and then when the minister writes something, then that's it. Even though it's sometimes really, like, I can really understand the juridical part of it, I wonder who their advisors are, that they are able to write this down, send it to people, and then people are actually going to say, yes, we have to live with this. And it's so unlawful. And we talk with local and with international lawyers that you cannot ban people from demonstrating, especially if you now see in these 6 months I've seen so many demonstrations,
Yes, across the region, the region.
And it cannot happen in St. Martin.
Yes,
it's a joke. It's a joke. And I feel like I'm on the right track, and I am getting a lot of support, like informally. A lot of people are patting me on the back, especially when I'm wearing my shirt.
I was just going to ask you to show the shirt. Thank you so much. And I am waiting. I am waiting for my shirt. I wear a 2XL for comfort.
The owner of El Pasha.
Go where? Where to go?
The owner of El Pasha.
Well, that's good, because I love Al Pasha's food. I love the salmon there. All
right.
Well,
he did it for free. I'm sure that everybody chipped in.
There you go.
This is what people are doing. They feel that their heart is on fire, and they feel so let down by their own government. Some of them say, I've been living here for more than 20 years. I pay my tax here. I felt I was a St. Martiner, but I feel so sad and not part of this island, just because we are just silenced, and if you pretend to be this democratic nation and you look down upon countries like Iran or Pakistan, where my parents are from, and then you're banning people from having a peaceful march. It's just, I always wonder, like, what is it? Is it really just a lack of competence, or is it really I worry, or is it something deeper than that? I don't want to go into that, but
it is deeper than that. And you know what? It's very simple. It makes people uncomfortable. It makes people uncomfortable. The whole Palestine word makes the whole subject. It makes people uncomfortable, and the fear that you are going to be labeled anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about opportunities then. Let's confront, even though I understand that. Look, I am not from here. I was born and raised in Holland. I come from Pakistani parents. I'm a Muslim. I've lived about 8 years in Amsterdam. And so I have a very Dutch way of saying things. But, I think everything's an opportunity. If you make people uncomfortable, it's called microaggression. It is the perfect way of opening up a debate. And that can be on a party, that could be, at a workplace. And it's not about fighting, it's about opening people's eyes. But we are so conditioned that we are here now on this island that, oh, you know what, I don't want to go into very uncomfortable conversations. Why? People are like, dying on the other side of the world, and you don't want to have an uncomfortable situation? Really? Like, if that's what it takes to have people, be more.
Basically, it's a topic since 1948 that makes people uncomfortable, whether you like to admit it or not. It's like, how could you justify someone coming into your door telling you to get out? This is my home. And then if you do not agree with that person, oh, you are anti-Semitic. That's the first thing that comes up. Anybody that does not agree with Israel is labeled as anti-Semitic. Whether you so can you imagine? Palestinians are Semitic, but we are labeled anti-Semitic.
Thank you.
As a Semitic, and I think that's why it's so powerful. That's why it's so powerful. You have, the biggest. I said it in the first podcast. I'm going to say it again. You have the biggest demonstrations are held by the Jewish population. If you have endured a Holocaust, or you are an offspring, of people who have survived it. You have talked to your grandfather who have maybe been in Auschwitz or in any of the death camps in Europe, and you survived somehow, and you can tell the stories, and yet you're not able to make this transfer that what is happening to the Palestinians is wrong, then you didn't learn anything. And I've heard many Jewish people talk and say, they are devaluating the word of anti-Semitic just by being so Zionist and so
correct
full of their
correct.
Aggressive, fascist type of dealing with people. Like, if you're against me, like, this is the first thing. Even the special UN reporter, what's her name again? Francesca Albanese. Her report was called anti-Semitic. It's just an easy way, You just, and by the time you have looked it up,
a very lazy way,
lazy way, and it's just, and it's not true, And when you call it out, we're already further. Also, with all these things that are happening, and like all these people that are being killed, like even the 7 aid workers that were recently killed by the World Kitchen Center. Nobody's there. We want to wait until we know for sure what happened. Well, you didn't wait when there was an attack somewhere else. You were like easy to, call it a terrorist attack and, sanctions here and there. And now you want to wait. And even the story of Hind, who was in the car with her relatives,
the little girl,
who was calling the ambulance. They were talking for hours on the phone, and they just finished the job. They killed her too. There was nothing left of that car and the people in it. The aid workers that rushed there, all the journalists that have died. We're all just waiting for the reports to come, and we're talking about 6 months now. Yeah, they're looking into it. The hypocrisy, the double standard. For me, it's eye-opening because I've always believed in human rights and always believed in the Western institutes. But that kind of, that ship has sailed. And I'm seeing the hypocrisy. I'm very sad about it. But at the same time, I do see it as an opportunity. When I see all those people marching the streets, day after day, day after day, not one time. We're going to do this, organizing it one time. Maybe we do it more. But, sit-ins, talking. Even, you have people who work for the government in Holland who are now connecting together to, raise their voice against the Dutch ministers who are, just continuing supporting a genocidal regime. There's movement there. So I see this as an opportunity, even though St. Martin is not used to, maybe it has to do with this colonial background of some of the people who are the offspring of the enslaved people, that people were so afraid to talk out, that speak up, that they would be killed for it, that now it just become this, we just
Well,
need to be quiet, we shouldn't say anything, but it's becoming a painful, because I feel like your ancestors have been through the same thing. You should feel infuriated, you should see this as your own struggle. Why aren't you feeling that? And if you're not feeling that, read into it, listen to people who are talking to you, who are showing you things. Don't look away anymore. This is just a privilege that you don't want to take, because 20 years from now, this is the point I want to make. If I look at my kids, maybe it's just one march I organized on St. Martin, and nothing really happened. But at least I can tell my kids, like, I did something, There was a genocide going on, and I didn't turn a blind eye. It's about that. It's never one documentary you make, or one sit-in you have, or one march, or one critical article, or one debate in the with the ministers, or in politics. It's all of that together. I was thinking about Rosa Parks, right? We were Rosa Parks, who challenged the status quo, where Black people needed to sit in the back and need to stand up for white people in the bus. My kids are taught these stories, but it was 70% of the Black people who used the bus. It was 382 days it took of boycotting before finally policies changed. So of course I'm not thinking that one demonstration is going to make a difference, but we need to collectively do something, anything. Make somebody uncomfortable, write a letter to the newspaper, talk to the ministers if they made some kind of comment to Holland. Do anything, something. And if you don't do it for Palestine, do it for another cause. Do it for Sudan, like I said in the other podcast, for Yemen. But speak up about any type of injustice. You cannot just turn a blind eye or say, yeah, it's very awful. It's very awful. What are we having for dinner again?
Yeah.
You cannot do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
And let me add to that, right? Unless Shushu wants to say something, because I know Shushu is very passionate about this.
Yeah, you go ahead. It's okay. You can go.
Okay. And I would like to bring it home, because and I think I said this in November, but it bears repeating. Every February, every July, every November, we praise our ancestors that fought against the evil system of slavery.
Yeah.
We remember those freedom fighters who, because of their struggles and their sacrifices, we are able to walk freely today. But seemingly many of us are not willing or prepared to practice that, to ensure the freedom and liberty of our children. How selfish we must be at times. When I think about the heroic move by the Diamond 26, a group of enslaved Africans who left the plantation, right? From whether it was in Culasac, Great Bay, or wherever, they left the plantation and destabilized the slave economy. What if they said, boy, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to stay right here because we have food, we have a roof over our head. Master treats us good sometimes. What if they
change anything? It's not going to lead to anything.
What if our brothers in Haiti did not ignite the Haitian Revolution? What would have happened to the Caribbean? And today we look down on the Haitian people. You see what I'm saying? So I love when you say, what are we going to tell our children?
Yeah.
And that is something that always haunts me and other people. What did you do?
Well,
and sometimes,
sorry.
Yeah, and sometimes, as you correctly said, it just takes a phone call, a letter to the editor, a conversation. It's very simple things you can do to make an impact. Listen to me carefully. People only started to love Martin Luther King Jr. when he died.
Yes.
It's only when people pass away, unfortunately, then we give them their flowers. We understand their message. But when they're with us, we ignore them.
Yeah.
Right, we marginalize them.
You're making it a trouble.
You're a troublemaker and so forth, right? But then how do you ask us to venerate our local heroes and then you have persons in the community walking along those same lines and you brand them as a troublemaker.
Yeah.
How does that work? Unless you're telling me that I need to walk in accordance to your definition of what it means to fight for freedom.
Yeah.
Unless you're telling me that unless I give the stamp of approval of how you must fight, right, then it's okay. But then
Yeah.
it can't be okay. You see, it cannot be okay. And these are the internal contradictions that we see daily. And it becomes blatant when we see international issues,
Yeah.
right? Such as these and otherwise. Let me bring in a point, okay? Because I thought it was so interesting, right? A few weeks ago, I read in the media that it seems as though persons of Haitian nationality, right? I believe those who are undocumented were being deported, right? Or, you know, they were being deported or they were not getting amnesty. You know, I'm just paraphrasing here. But we know the situation in Haiti, right? And according to many international laws, right, it's not cool to send persons back to a country that is gripped in war and turmoil.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, when I read the comments from, I believe, a judge, it stated, and I'm paraphrasing, well, they can live in another part of Haiti. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Okay, you understand what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
then not too long ago, Curacao says, well, we are not sending anyone to Haiti because we know the situation there. Same kingdom,
Yeah.
same
Oh,
quote
more
unquote
background.
kingdom, different policies.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
would one interpret what's happening here? Clearly, there are vested interests, right, behind the scenes making certain decisions. And that's what we need to unpack one of these days. Shushu, go ahead, 'cause I think you wanted to say something.
No, I was agreeing with you. I'm listening, and as I said, yeah, Haiti is one of the first country to start the revolution. Yet we look down at the Haitians. People look down at the Haitians. They think they are not worthy, even though they are the most. They have a very much educated Haitians. They know they are worth of fighting for. Actually, they are worth the respect that we should give them. We should honor them because they are, as you said, one of the first people to fight for our freedom. If it
Yeah.
wasn't for them, we will be still under slavery. We would still
Yeah.
under the white man dictatorship, colony,
Yeah.
call it what you call it. And to this
Yeah.
day, because of the thing that Haiti should be recognized for and honored for, they still paying the price. France still collecting for this one act because they disagree with it, and they
Yeah.
suffer. Their nation suffer because of that. And this is where, when do we put a stop to all of that? When we do start recognizing that we are people, we are humans, we
Yeah.
deserve
You
what
know,
everybody
I've
else.
always wondered, and when I was in university, I also had a course specially focused on genocide, because I was very puzzled by the whole Holocaust. That I grew up with these stories about the Holocaust. In class, we were taught about it, and I could not believe why a group of leaders could drag a whole nation into war. How is this possible? How can we allow these people to do that? And what I found out, it was ordinary men who didn't, who would be complicit, or who would look away, or the silence of the majority of people, brainwashed, as you mentioned, Shushu.
Yeah.
That's what my problem is. Of course, I don't have the illusion that I can stop maybe a war, but it's a collective effort, and at least not be complicit, because that's what you are when you are shying away from this conversation. By saying, well, I couldn't do anything. Well, there are like, what, 7 billion people on this planet? So if we're all going to say this, of course we're not going to change anything, but we will collectively, and raise awareness, be at least aware of it. Like, even if you cannot stop a genocide, maybe it's a prayer that will help, or maybe you can help financially, by the people who are, sometimes you have a sole survivor, the rest of the family completely gone, and this person makes it to the other side, maybe you can help financially, you know. Put your money where your mouth is then, you know. Like, at least be there in some shape or form. I cannot judge that for you, but at least don't look away, and start seeing the bullshit for what it is, for what we're seeing on TV. There's a lot of gaslighting, there's a lot of propaganda, and I find it funny because I think it was the minister that told us that we were using propaganda, and I never asked her, by the way, like what was that all about? But anyway, I'm for a peaceful demonstration, so please look out for the 12th
Maybe she
of
listens
May.
to CNN. Sorry, maybe she's listening to CNN. Maybe that's where she gets
Maybe,
her news. You know,
maybe,
that's why she
maybe,
called it propaganda. So I think
maybe.
CNN, she's watching CNN every night, and that's where she gets her news.
Yeah, it's dehumanization. It's like what you're saying. Like, it's black and brown people usually when they're killed. It's not so much of a deal, even though we would not like to acknowledge it that way, that it's about skin color. But sometimes that gives me the feeling it is, and we, at least people of color or black people, should at least make and anybody who knows injustice. I don't care what your skin color is. Everybody who knows right from wrong knows that this is wrong. And I've had people from all shapes and forms, skin colors, and religious, non-religious, that know right from wrong, that know what's going on in Palestine, where people are being butchered from their own land, from their own land. That's why I wanted to show this video of Amanda Seales so bad, where she shows this video where you have a Palestinian girl. I assume it's a Palestinian girl who wants to speak out about the injustice, what's going on in Gaza. And she's being silenced physically by two older people. And they try to silence her because they say, it's our house. It's our house.
This is actually, I saw the video. She's a lawyer.
So,
it was a lawyer. It was a dinner at I can't remember the school. I saw that, and it was like they were trying to like basically,
because they know the pain that somebody's in your own house saying things that you don't like. Then you could let them be removed by the police authorities whatsoever. But you're pained by only that. But these people in Gaza, their ancestors used to live there. They used to have their olive trees there. All their history is being flattened, wiped out. Yes. Their kids being burned alive, shelling, as you say, starved to death. All of this injustice is going on. And people speak up about it even. They are silenced even on that level. It's just the world upside down. And I see a few people, also religious people, I want to make this point, also on the island, this is what God has told us. God has warned us for these end of times. This is the end of times. But I find that too fatalistic. I think that besides, praying, and I do believe in prayers very much, I do think that we should also do something more than just say, oh, look, this is the end of times, because I find it a little too easy, because we are talking about people who have family maybe in Palestine, or who are hurt so bad, and you're just saying, yeah, well, it's the end of times. You can be a bit more empathetic. I think that's also what's lacking. What I also would like to share with you, Shusha, wasn't that with you that we were at a religious gathering of the church?
Yes.
Who did a specific, did a specific talk on Palestine. It was interreligious because it was different churches gathered. I forgot the name. I think it was the World Church Day or something like that.
Yes, the World Church. I think it was the Word Adventist Church, if I'm not sure. And it was this year. It was from Palestine. Every year they choose a set of ladies from different countries, and they tell their stories. And this year it was from Palestine, and it was beautiful.
It was
Humera.
so beautiful. I
It was
cried.
beautiful. We cried. We were
Yeah,
trying to hold on.
we cried both.
It
Yeah,
was
we were
emotional.
sitting there, and it was just beautiful to see the interreligion. I think that's a very important point I would like to make. Even
Yeah.
though we are a small island, we have different churches, we have a mosque, we have a Jewish community. I think this interreligious gatherings should be happen a lot more. It was beautiful because you could see that everybody was there to listen to the stories. Sometimes it's just listening and opening up your heart to the stories, and these were stories written down by Palestinian women because it was specially gathered around the Voice for Women. And
Yeah.
these were Christian women, and they were talking about how it is to be Palestinian Christian and what they were suffering and how they were suffering. It was also beautiful how they were still had the power, also the power of God they felt to continue the struggle, but they just wanted to be heard. And it was such a beautiful gathering to have so many different people from different churches around there. It could have been even more, I would think, if they would have, like, broadcasted it a
Yes.
lot more. But I, as a Muslim, felt very welcomed, and I
Yes.
felt this is what St. Martin should be more,
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
gathering, and talking about how we are connected instead of how we are
Right,
different.
divided, yes.
Exactly.
Just a brief moment. I want to shout out and acknowledge some of our listeners who are
Mm-hmm.
tuning in and making some comments. I have a brethren, Kilanji Bangara. He's watching from Namibia. Greetings. And Rojarel Mauricia. He's watching from right here, Sweet St. Martin. And of course, Kilanji says the so-called state of Israel was created by white supremacists in 1947 in Northeast Africa, where these European races, such as the Dutch, were party to this illegal creation. And history bears witness to that also, especially when it comes to the relationship between Israel and the Netherlands. But that's a next episode. I promise
Wow.
you, that's a next episode. You know, he also says, do not recognize this white supremacist state, and these white settlers needs to leave our land mass. There you go. I want to go back to something that was said because I believe you gave a great reason why what's happening in Palestine matters to St. Martin. And you said it's so great. You said we have Muslim mosques, right? Persons of the Muslim faith, of the Jewish faith, of the Christian community, and we are living side by side,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? Let's
Yeah.
say, let's say, because if there's no understanding amongst these different groups, it might lead to tension.
Yeah.
You understand? And St.
Yeah.
Martin prides itself for being a melting pot. St.
Yeah.
Martin prides itself for having over 100 and something nationalities, prides
Yeah.
itself for being the friendly island. So,
Yeah.
therefore, it has a unique opportunity to present a model,
Yeah.
right, to the region, to the world, as to how, we are
Yeah.
able to live good with each other.
Yeah, and it's
Regardless.
about a relationship. It's about a relationship. In the core,
Correct.
it's about a relationship. And a relationship is never perfect. I think everybody
That's
can
correct.
agree. If you're in a relationship, whether it's be with your spouse, with your kids, with your employee at work, with your neighbor, a relationship always comes with issues and always might bump into some kind of, trouble. But it's how you respond,
Yes.
how you respond, how you communicate to overcome these issues. You can pray as hard as you want or deny as much as you want, but when you are a group of people, you're gonna have different views on things, different approach on things, but that doesn't mean you should not have the conversation. So
Correct.
even if it's small, even if it's with your friend or with your neighbor, keep talking about Palestine and talk about how we can be united to, understand right from wrong, because in the essence it's about understanding right from wrong, really.
I
Yes.
agree. And let me add something to the mix, right?
Yeah.
And the both of you are touching on it, but I want to try and bring it home.
Mm.
Right now, we are discussing the question of land, okay?
Mm.
In Palestine.
Yes.
On Saturday, there will be a march about the question of land on St. Martin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Good one.
So if we are outraged, right, because we learned of the potential sale of land, of a large, vast tract of land,
Yeah.
we are ready to organize protests because of this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine then what it must mean for those who are uprooted, displaced, and
Yeah.
even murdered on their land that belongs to their parents and ancestors? You
Yeah.
see? So that's why it matters.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's why it matters to us.
Yeah.
Because if this is unthinkable on 37 square miles, then it must be unthinkable and unconscionable, right?
Yeah.
In Palestine.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
see what
Thank
I'm
you.
saying?
Beautiful.
So you can't,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
you can't. I mean,
You
look,
said it.
that's our gift to the movement, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are
Mm.
others who can continue connecting the struggles to make it
Yeah.
real for
Yeah.
persons here. Let me give you another example.
Mm-hmm.
September 16, 2022, if I'm not mistaken, was a historic day on St. Martin. You had persons from the northern side of the island and the southern side of the island came together and says, remove these borders. If you remember, okay?
Yep.
Because apparently there was a so-called policy whereby the French imperialists wanted to manipulate or influence or close off our symbolic borders. And the people of St. Martin said no. And the people came out to express their displeasure with this
Mm-hmm.
particular policy. And
Mm-hmm.
in the crowd, we saw persons who drive bus and we see people who sit in corporate offices. Okay, there were no fights, there was no disruption, but the people were united in a single cause.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
struggle is not alien
Yeah.
to us on the
Yeah.
island. You see, you
Mm.
just have to
We
make it
should be proud
real.
of that.
Okay, you have to
Yeah.
make it
Yeah.
real. Many a times
Yeah.
when something happens, you would hear a person from the southern side say, "Boy, if this was a friend side, that would never happen."
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? So people
Mm.
understand the level of intensity, the seriousness when it comes to manifesting their displeasure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and again,
Yeah.
you cannot celebrate when the northern side or any group, whenever any group manifests peacefully and then want to condemn on the other side. It doesn't work
Mm.
that way. You have
No.
to be consistent. You have to be consistent. I learned in university that inconsistency is a sign of bad leadership.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
learned that in management class. So don't blame me, blame Michael Porter. All right. So I am
All right.
saying that we can use these experiences, right, in order to
Mm.
build that case, continue
Yeah.
building that case as to why the situation in Palestine is important here. Let me add another one since I'm on the topic.
Yeah.
Let's not
Go.
forget that the Caribbean basin has ties with America, has
Yep.
ties with Europe, has ties with Asia, in the sense of receiving aid, trade preferences, diplomatic ties, and so forth and so on. Who is to say that in the future that when requesting aid, when seeking trade relationships, that support from one camp or the other won't be a condition? Who is to say? Because they're doing it already. They're doing it already in different spheres. When we see the United Nations, when we see how some Caribbean countries vote, when we look at the Organization of American States, how they vote and who they support, it's
Yeah.
obvious that they might use these platforms, right, as a vehicle to push their political agenda.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
let's not be naive to think that it will not happen on St. Martin. COVID 22 taught us that these imperialists will spare no opportunity to
Mm.
impose their political will. and their agenda on these islands. So we cannot be naive. We are seeing it on the northern side and we are seeing it on the southern side. The only difference is the methods. That's the only difference. Some are more blatant, some are subtle, but the end goal is the same.
Yeah.
That's my humble contribution for your consideration.
I just really would like to show the clip of Amanda Seals that I was touching
Sure,
upon.
not a problem. Let's do that. Let's do that right now. So just give me a minute. Let me look for it.
I think in the meanwhile, while you're looking for it, I think it's also important that people know the power of BDS, of course, boycott, de-invest, sanction.
Okay, yes.
It really helps. If you want to be an ally, even if it's, banning the McDonald's for ice cream, do it, it's going to help because, in the end of the day, it's the money that talks. It's the money that, had this conflict going on for so long because people are making money out of weaponry, which is crazy in my opinion. But, apparently it works that way. And so if you know that money is very important, at least make sure that you're not buying products from occupied territories or where people are being occupied or at least be conscious, read into it. It's not so easy. People are made it very easy for you. With 2 clicks on the internet, you already know what to buy and what not to buy. So understand where your money is going. Oh yes. Please, please. Let me mute myself.
World fast. Not only from material sustenance, not fast, not only from material sustenance. Fast. We have attorneys. We have attorneys.
Okay, you don't have to get
Excuse me.
Please
leave our house. You are guests at our house.
This is our First Amendment right.
No,
this is
my house.
It is. The National Lawyers Guild has informed this is our First Amendment right.
My house.
So I'm coming off my Instagram break to just speak to this situation right here because I see a lot of conjecture in the comments. One, this woman had an event at her house for the university. So basically you are using your house as a university event. Your house becomes an extension of the university. So the laws of the university apply to your house. Hence why the young lady was saying, this is our First Amendment right. Second, even if it wasn't attached to the university, if you invite someone to your house and they say something you don't like, the best thing you can do is invite them to leave. If they do not leave, you can call the police for trespassing. You cannot put your hands on them. You cannot put your hands on people. And this is something that white people seem to really think is okay, whether it's snatching someone's phone or touching someone's hair without asking them. You cannot put your hands on people. And if you do, there should be consequences. And that's just really the reality that you take. Listen, there's some people that my hands might very well end up on. And I know that there are consequences that attach to that. But the reality in this situation is that this young lady was invited to the event. I want to make that clear. She was invited to the event. She was speaking about Palestine as she was speaking about the end of Ramadan and how Palestinians were experiencing Ramadan and experiencing Eid. And this woman and her husband became so irate. But here's the sweetest, most bittersweet part of all of this. It's my house. So you get it. So you get it. You get what it means to be in your house and have someone come into your house and saying what they want to say and you not being okay with that. Imagine if they were coming into your house and saying they're going to stay and that you have no choice but to be okay with that. So you get it. Ba-dum-bum.
No, just perfect. Just perfect.
Brilliant.
I just thought it was so perfect. I just wanted to share it. I think it's so important. It makes it come close. It comes back home. When you're talking about microaggression, you're talking about uncomfortable conversations here and there. And then what happens? This is what happens. And people still don't see it. They say they are creating a platform, and the moment they don't like the outcome of it, they want to change the outcome. But that's not how it works. It doesn't work with democracy either. You're saying that you're a democracy, and then you're saying, well, we don't want you to use your freedom of assembly and your freedom of speech. It doesn't work like that. You cannot just change the rules all of a sudden because you don't like the outcome.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Let's flip the scenario here, and let's say she was speaking about Ukraine.
Oh.
What would you think the outcome will be? And that's where the double standard is. That's where the double standard is. If that girl was talking about Ukraine, even though she was Palestinian, but she was talking about Ukraine and the Russian invading Ukraine and how the Russians killing all these babies and killing all these, it will be welcomed. You will see tears, you will see hugs, you will see the support,
bravery,
you will see the flags, bravery. They are fighting for their freedom. It's okay.
It's the frame. Yeah, she's talking about the frame, basically. So the moment you have a frame where you have people that are seen as not the same, then everything they say or do is seen as, troublemaking, as resistance, etc., etc. It's never seen as an uprise or an emancipation, a way of showing agency and being strong and like we honor our heroes on the islands. It wasn't considered very nice what they were doing. A lot of people even would have probably said, you're making it more horrible for us, or you're making it trouble for us. But you need to be brave. And the point I wanted to make when you were talking, and I didn't want to interrupt you and I forgot about it, it's about solidarity. Solidarity is not only from the screen. It entails a certain type of risk. You need to take certain types of risks. Otherwise, it's too easy. You can always say, you know what, I am very solidar, but what risk are you taking? Yes, I'm not Palestinian, but I'm taking the risk of doing this march and having people on my back who don't like what I'm doing, or who might, jeopardize something in my life. I'm willing to take that on because it always comes with a risk. Always does. It's never free. And the freedom is never free either. You have to fight for it. And I think that that's something that you also mentioned in the first podcast. It's as if people, when we talk about liberation and freedom, people want you to present it to them on a warm plate.
Yep.
Yeah. If they don't want to do anything for it, even if it means changing yourself or changing your narrative or fighting your own demons. I'm not saying that everybody should march if you don't want to march, but do anything, do something. Talk to yourself. Why do you see this woman as a troublemaker and the other one as a hero? They're saying the same thing. How can you have those double standards? And it's not people being mean, but people being, forced for so many years in this thinking frame, and this is how racism works too. So you have even Black people being racist towards other Black people, or you have something called colorism. All of this is not because people are evil. We are just all humans and we are conditioned. I am also conditioned. I would also make my mistakes. But if I'm called out on something like, okay, you're now being a racist, Humera, I'm not going to say yes, but well, no, but I'm going to listen, be somebody who acknowledges and listens first before you start, counter argumenting. People are just so afraid of making mistakes or being called out on something. It's very humble to just say, I got it wrong, or I didn't make the connection between my own slavery background and what's happening in Palestine. That's okay. We all learn, but at least learn, stand open for it. And if you cannot help me, at least don't jeopardize. Don't shut us off.
Yeah, basically.
That's how I want to end.
But it's the double standards, it's the hypocrisy. It is what it is, whether you like it or not. We are conditioned like this, and we're gonna believe People gonna believe this. And just like the other day, just like the last 48 hours, we all know that Iran sent drones all the way to Israel. And
Mm.
this now, behold, Iran is attacking Israel.
Yeah, so it's
But
always like,
who started? Who started? Who was the
yeah,
aggressor? It was
yeah,
Israel. Israel actually shot and sent drones all the way to Syria, to another country, and blow up the Iranian embassy.
yeah, yeah,
And
but
when it's done to you,
yeah,
oh my God, Israel is being attacked. The
yeah,
U.S.,
this is how it's done.
England,
It's a
the
media
United
logic.
Kingdom, Britain,
Media logics.
France, Holland, Germany, all these countries, they
Yeah,
started, oh my God, Israel been under attack.
yeah,
But what happened
yeah,
when
and
they
it's
attacked
something you
Iran?
we're
What
touching
happened when they
upon.
attacked Lebanon?
Yeah,
Every day
no, so it's.
they
I
go ahead.
agree with what you're saying, Shushu. It's what you're talking about is media logics, how the media works, how we are
Yes,
constantly framed. So even if they leave out essential things, it just completely changes the story, and people, don't take any accountability for it. And this is being done for generations. Of course, we're just only now becoming more and more aware. Some of the people already have also in my lifetime warned me for this, but I couldn't see it. Now I see it, and now you see it. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. That's the power of knowledge. But I see it also on another scale. I see it also on my own private. I made this Facebook page, Essex and Solidarity for Palestine. I have my personal Facebook page, and I have friends who say, you know what, I don't feel it. I know cognitively that it's wrong what's happening, but I don't feel it here like you do. Or you have people who say, you know what, I cannot look at those images anymore. But then I ask myself, what else will waken you? Like, what else? Did you read about it? Is it maybe a poem? Is it some, like, is it figures? Because the figures are already speaking volume by now. 13,000 kids died, children, babies. I have children. Like, how can you not see that? Like, everybody loves their child. Can you imagine that your child would be under the rubble?
Hmm.
Or that he or she has to continue for the rest of their life without you? Disabled, without any relatives? I cannot go there, because if I go there, I just break down. And just the lack of empathy is just astonishing. And I wonder, what do you want to see then? Do you want to see figures? Do you want to see a poem? Do you want to see dead children that I'm posting every day? Every day I'm posting, and there's some people who are looking away. I'm proud of the people who have the heart to bear it, and the rest, they're just, they use the privilege to also not see that. But it's the same as looking away when there was a Holocaust. Do you actually want to tell your kids, yeah, well, there was a Holocaust going on, well, I couldn't do anything about it, so might as well look away? Can
Yep,
you
basically.
really? And if you would be in that camp, if you would be in that civil rights movement, if you would be there in Gaza right now, dying of hunger. Yeah, sorry, born on the wrong side, the wrong time. Is that you? We should really use our privilege, even if it's just a little bit, even if you take a little bit of risk. And again, I have friends on the island who say, Humera, I'm afraid of the government taking my passport away, not renewing my contract, giving my business trouble. I understand that. But at the same time, you need to be brave too. I understand if you cannot do everything. Maybe you cannot be on the march. Maybe you can do something else, post something, confront somebody, or not go to the, don't buy uh, uh, something that helps the weaponry. Those are small things that you can really do. You can do it.
With big impact. With
Big
big
impact,
impact.
really.
Big.
Yeah.
Listen, I can tell you, in my time in the union, we would always have, our different manifestations and such. And persons would also tell me, of their concerns about being in the open. Their face victimization on the island is very real, but some of those persons played a key role in providing great information, great insight, and assistance on different levels. You see? So it's just a matter of finding where you can support. Okay, that's all it is. You find out where you can support, and then you make the best possible impact. Earlier, you talked about the divest boycott movement.
Yeah.
All right, you will be happy to know that it is because of the unified global efforts of nations around the world that boycotted Israel and other in America and other countries is why South Africa was able to liberate itself, why we saw the release of Nelson
Thank
Mandela.
you. Thank
I
you.
mean,
And now South
not
Africa
a story
is
next to that, you know?
support.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is do not underestimate the power that you have where
Yeah,
you
with your
are.
money.
You see,
Yeah.
where you are. There are a number of people they have identified the companies that they know have direct ties with Israel. There are
Or
products,
helping the
and they made
weaponry.
they made a concerted effort and say, you know what? If you are directly or indirectly supporting this genocide, we will not support you until you change your
Yeah, you policy. Yeah.
Okay, and you don't have to announce that. You don't have to announce that.
Exactly. Thank
No
you.
one has to know. All
No.
you're going to do, you're going to be more conscious when you pick up the product. You're going to look, where is it coming from? Oh, you're coming from this, you have ties. I'm going to look for a substitute.
Yeah.
That could be
I
your
know that
side
there are
of
even apps right now. You can use some, I don't know if they work in St. Martin, but I've know of a couple that has an app especially for that you just scan it.
Yes.
Really?
Look it up in the app and you can see if it's has some ties. And this is also happening with sustainable meat and
yes, true.
With eggs coming from different factories or even with fossil fuel,
that's
thinking
good
about
to
the
know.
climate, all of that is BDS. So boycott, deinvest, sanction. This is very powerful. Don't underestimate it. And what you're saying, Bakari, you don't have to advertise it.
Correct.
If you don't want to, write something, at least make sure that your money is not, you're buying a bullet. This is how you have to think. You're buying one bullet in somebody else's chest.
Yes.
And if you agree to live in a world where other kids' lives don't matter, don't expect your child's life matter either.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. Correct.
Yep.
Because
buy
remember,
local. Buy local.
Yes.
That's what I say. Buy local. Support local.
Correct.
I buy my eggs locally.
Yeah.
So the little things. This is the little things like McDonald's, as she said. You don't need the ice cream cone from McDonald's. Go somewhere else because that $1 that you're buying, it's basically a bullet in a child's head.
Yeah.
And globally, we see that McDonald's is suffering. Starbucks is suffering.
Yep.
All these big companies, L'Oreal, because in the Middle East, the boycott is big. And right now, I tell my friends, if I can do without this product, if I have to go somewhere else and choose it, I will do it. So I actually take stuff from my friends and I say, you're not shopping there, you're not buying there, you're not eating there.
Yeah.
And if they love you, they're going to support you. So go PDS. Please. Look it out, download, and buy local.
Yeah.
Buy local.
Yeah.
Let me just add because it's boycott, divest, right? BDS. Okay, I'm gonna add the link.
Sanctions.
I'm gonna add the link in the chat so that persons when they view it, they can check it out one time and see how they can use the tools in order to empower themselves.
And be an ally. There's also different ways to be an ally. Acknowledge, listen, learn, confront, speak up, show up. Policy matters, engage. BDS is one. These are all ways to support and be an ally. So be an ally.
Yes.
Be an ally.
And I know it's getting late. You see, Humera, this always happens to us. We say we're gonna keep it short, but from the time you get fired up, that's it. Okay, that's it. But we're gonna wrap up in a couple more minutes.
But I covered everything, the most important things I covered. So
I know, but I think there's something you probably already are aware of, or you might probably like to hear. When we consider the fact that the Israeli government is losing support on the home front, okay, you would recall that there's a group, they refer to themselves as the ultra orthodox group, who are usually not, how you say, not allowed to be
Yes.
enlisted in the military.
Yes.
And the government wants to enlist them for military service, and that's creating a big uproar, right? To the point where this group was also a base for the current prime minister. Okay, so he's losing that base, and persons on the ground, Israeli people on the ground, are calling for his resignation. Okay,
Yes.
we also see that many countries are backing away from supporting his government militarily, right? And here is where it gets a bit ticklish. I don't know if they are backing away because of the ICJ's court ruling, or because of the group of volunteers that whose lives perished not too long ago from the World Food Kitchen. I'm still trying to tease it out. Okay, but either which way, at least the information that I have seen thus far says that he is losing support. As a matter of fact, okay, as a matter of fact, America, right, in an article published by NZ News, oh no, sorry, it was Reuters, okay, Reuters, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll get it right. And here's a quote: Israel's war on Gaza, which soon enters its 6th month, which is, you know, I don't know where it comes with the 6th month, but okay, has done untold damage to the enclave and its people, more than 32,000 of whom have been killed and millions who have been displaced. But the damage also extends to Israel's global reputation, one that its closest allies fears could become permanent. Such, at least, was the conclusion of the Biden administration in a recent State Department memo obtained by NPR, warned that Israelis are facing major, possibly generational damage to their reputation as a result of its military conduct in Gaza. Comments that echoed Biden's December warning that Israel was losing support over its indiscriminate bombing of the Strip. Now, coming from America, that kind of says a lot, but at the same time, America has elections just now. So it could just be as a way to try and win the favor, you know, of persons.
I've seen comments on the internet where they say, you know, it's the same
rhetoric.
It's the same rhetoric, both sides, you know.
Yeah.
One was it one way, the other, but it's the same toilets.
Yeah.
Yes. Literally, I've heard that. Like, same shit.
I thought it was interesting.
Like same shit, different toilets.
Yeah. I hear you. But what I'm saying, I thought it was interesting because usually the Biden administration is a bit more cautious, you see, but this time it didn't seem so cautious. All right. So it was telling in that sense. But at the end of the day, it's about politics, right? And some politicians will just say what they think the people want to hear, and they'll base their agenda around that, you know.
But I am also very disappointed by some of the political figures in the States, you know, that have been very quiet, and then all of a sudden they start talking about genocide 6 months later. I'm like,
yes,
where were you all that time? And then you just feel how I don't know how politics works, but it's just I feel like if you have to think, you know, be calculated about what the outcome will be, and you're not going to speak the truth, then that's not good. We have to have some kind of moral obligation to condemn something which is just wrong.
Correct. Yes. All right. So let's wrap up. You know. So I want to give the first opportunity for closing remarks to Shushu, and then we'll go to Humera.
Yes. I'm just gonna read something very simple. and I hope this bring it home. Palestine, a country we love without seeing, a home we belong to but cannot enter, a land the farther we are from it, the deeper our roots grow in it. A flag banned on its homeland but raised around the world. A cause they are trying to kill but will never die. Thank you.
Powerful,
Very
powerful, powerful,
powerful.
powerful.
Very
Sister,
powerful. For me,
go
it's
ahead.
very simple. They try to silence Palestinian voices, but we just all became Palestinian. All over the world, people are just, they feel for Palestine, so they cannot silence what's in our hearts. And we all, I know, I was just at my doctor's office because my son wasn't feeling well, and he was saying, I see you, I see what you're doing, and I hear you, and it's very unjust what's going on. Just by expressing these words, it's just so, it
Powerful.
just feels that people know right from wrong, that it's not only the things we are seeing on our screen where people are just in total denial of what's going on. There are people who are seeing what's happening and what's unfolding. So free Palestine.
There you go.
Free
There you go.
Palestine. Yay.
And I want to thank the both of you. Oh, before I forget, please give us a recap about what's happening on the 12th of May, right? And of course, give us your Facebook page again for
Yeah, sure.
persons who
I will
would
do it.
like
So
to.
half May we will hear when our court case is due. So our court case is still going to happen, but as I said already, we cannot wait on the on when the court case will be expected to come in front of the judge. So the 12th of May, which is in about approximately a month after Carnival, so no excuse. The 12th of May will be our new attempt. I still have to ask for permission or acknowledgement to the government, but this is going to be our attempt, and we will keep on making this attempt until we are allowed to demonstrate. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me on a Facebook page called SXM in Solidarity with Palestine, or you can use my personal Humera Alam Facebook page. And that's about it. Just be there and keep talking about Palestine. Keep talking about Palestine.
All right. Thank you. Ladies, thank you so much for your
Thanks for having me.
presence, for your
Thank you,
Thank you.
passion.
Chuchu. It was a nice,
Thank you.
unexpected.
I actually joined, but I did not realize I was giving the platform to speak. So thank you guys.
Nice.
I wasn't ready for speaking. That's why my camera's off.
It's okay.
Well,
You
either
can
which
show
way,
the viewers one more time who you are.
Sorry?
You can show yourself if you want.
Let me look, let me show the good side. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
See?
there you are.
all right.
Yay.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Nice
Nice
to
to
meet
meet you.
you.
Show yourself.
Well, I'm actually sitting behind. I was ready to like listen and do some work and be involved by chatting, but not really as I said, the
No, I'm
platform.
happy you're
Thank
here.
you.
I feel like if you're Palestinian, you need to be first. I'm second. You need to be
No,
there
but
first.
Humaira, since I met you, I think you've been a very strong voice for Palestine. And as a Palestinian, I thank you. And I thank you again for having this podcast because it's important. The message is really
Okay.
important. We need that voice.
Our pleasure. And let me tell you a secret, okay? But don't tell Humera. Please don't tell her. Okay?
Okay.
But she would always play the modesty card. She doesn't know what to say, and I'm like, why is this lady doubting herself? And all I have to do is say one word and that's it. She takes over. It's like autopilot. You
Yep.
understand? Autopilot. You see? So I have to commend her. Don't tell her. Don't tell her.
No,
Okay?
we're
Don't
not
tell her.
going to tell her. It's our little
We're not going to
secret.
tell her. Okay? But I have to commend her for her courage, for her persistence, for her consistency, and her determination. Okay, for taking up what might appear today as an unpopular issue on the island. But I guarantee you that future generations will, whenever they call your name, they'll sing praises. You understand what I'm saying?
No, that's
Yes,
So
too
we
much.
give
we are.
thanks.
I'm
We
happy
give
that I'm
thanks.
getting the support. That's already a lot for me. That I'm getting the support, and I know
Yeah,
there's a lot of people supporting us. It's not a one-man
correct.
show. I could have
Correct.
never dreamed that this would have so much is unfolding in front of our eyes just for a simple request for demonstration. But at the same
Yes.
time, it makes it perfectly clear how this is all intertwined, and everything what's happening on a global scale is also happening right in small on St. Martin.
Correct.
So I'm
Correct.
happy that you're here and you're supporting us. And I couldn't have done it without you, to be honest. Thanks.
Most welcome.
You're a
So,
great help.
family,
A
give thanks.
sweetheart, like I said the first time. You're a
Now
sweetheart.
you want to make me blush now.
You are.
Right? So, family, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your comments, and please share this conversation. Whether you agree or disagree, we are open for dialogue, the exchange of ideas, so that we can arrive at some sort of mutual understanding. I am not going to be long. I am simply going to end tonight's discussion by simply saying genocide is not self-defense. And from the river to the sea, Palestine will
And
be
will
free.
be free.
One God, one aim, one destiny. All the best. Take
Thank
care.
you.
One love. Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.